Here you are, rolling with the guru, going over some new movies, or a new movie, I should state, that came out. That new movie is The Fantastic Four and First Steps. And I'm going to tell you my opinion, what I thought about it, how the movie performed compared to, and I know a lot of people want to compare it to Superman that just came out um just a week before, 2 weeks before. So I'll give you my comparisons, my breakdowns, what I think. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. The Fantastic Four is a solid movie from Marvel. Um, I think there's been other Marvel movies I would say was better, but I think this was solid. And from everything I've read, that's what Marvel was going for. They was trying to find a solid movie that would have people look at it and say that a lot of thought was put into the movie. And with the Fantastic Four, I can say that there was a lot of thought put into the movie. The character interactions, how the characters reacted to each other, I thought all worked. Um, thought it was more like the comic book, less like the cartoons you'd say. Um, they didn't have the Human Torch as like a practical joker or someone just that just goes off on his own. Um, they had them more reserved, more grown up, and I think that was a pleasant surprise. Um, they just had the team more grown up. That's the easiest way to say it than how the team was before. And I think that worked real well for this movie. Um, I had just a little bit of reservation, and it's only because I think the thing should have been made just a little bit grimmer. The thing is happy with himself, but he's never really satisfied with the way he looks, you know, and that had they tried to stay away from it. I get it. They try to stay away from it because everybody else who did a Fantastic Four movie went gun ho into that part of the thing's backstory, and they didn't want to do that. So I give them a lot of props for not doing that, but I think there should have been a smidget more of him, and I don't like my appearance. I don't like how people look at me because I don't like my appearance. So there should have been a smidget more of that, but it wasn't. And it didn't kill the movie, didn't hurt the movie um in any great way. So, I'll give that part, you know, I think they did a very good job of that. I give them a B plus for that. Um for the Silver Surfer and Galactus, this is where the movie really comes into its own. I give them an A for everything they did with Galactus and Silver Surfer. I thought they did a great job of showing Galactus as this unstoppable being. I thought they did an excellent job showing the Silver Surfer as this incredibly powerful being and that they really didn't have much answers for at all. I thought the movie did an excellent job with that. You knew the movie had to do something where they was able to defeat or stop Galactus. So, I give them leeway in that, but even how they portrayed that, I thought was done real well, you know. And this is a spoiler, so I'm going to just tell you if you haven't seen it, you may want to turn the channel off, come back after you've seen it. But the one thing they did do, which I thought was a great job, was how they had the Invisible Woman, Sue Richards, really be the driving force in how they finally was able to get Galactus. in a position where they could defeat him. And I thought that was excellently done. Um, I did like the part where the Human Torch kind of figured out the language of the Silver Surfer. So that was done. I do agree with some people if I've talked to and heard, some people said they still would have preferred if that was Reed Richards who figured out that, but it works because of what they was trying to say about Reed Richards being too logical. By the Human Torch figuring out the language of the Silver Surfer and him being more connected with his emotions, he was able to actually use that to persuade the surfer to switch sides, which I thought was pretty decent. I thought that was a smart move on their part, just because of how they was trying to show you Reed Richards. So I give them a lot of credit on that. I know some people don't, but I do because, you know, when she defeats him, or she didn't defeat him, but just to do what she did, if you've seen the movie, the outcome is she dies from it. So I was okay with that. I was okay with that aspect of it. The other aspect that I thought the movie was just sound. It didn't have that last moment kick to it. I thought there was going to be maybe a last moment kick, and the movie didn't have that. And I agree with people who said that. And that's why I can't give the movie like a 9 or, you know, anywhere close to a 10 because it didn't have that pizzazz at the very end. It didn't, it didn't have that pizzazz moment. Um, One of the things I do think helped this movie out, I don't know how Marvel managed to do it, but most of the leakers were wrong about all of their outcomes. What they thought was going to happen, what they kept on saying was going to happen. You know, Realistically, Marvel let you know what they wanted you to know. And I even got caught up because the leakers have been right about a lot of aspects. They wasn't right about the Fantastic Four. Everything that you've seen in the promos, you know, to me, they're not leaks. When you can jump from one thing in a promo and say, oh, well, that's going to happen in the movie. But big things the leakers had wrong, the leakers had wrong about the Fantastic Four not saving their world. They had it wrong that Doctor Doom was going to kidnap Franklin. That wasn't what happened. And, I'm going to just tell you, you just have to really look at the one promo after the movie. The other one, I think is a waste of time. But the promo with Franklin Richards touching the face of Doctor Doom and he has his mask off, that's how it ends. It doesn't end with how a lot of leakers said he disappears with Franklin Richards. They were wrong. It didn't end like that. Like I said, this them have to leave their universe, you know, doesn't end like that. So all of them were wrong. Um, it does bring me to maybe a slight downer. I don't see how this movie really sets you up as they was trying to say, sets you up really for um doomsday. I don't see that. I hope that I know Spider-Man comes out before it. I hope Spider-Man has a much better afterthought or something that leads you to see, oh man, I can see the doomsday setup. because the Fantastic Four did not do that, and that's a little downer for me. As far as what I rated, I'm using a 10-star rating system now. Um, I think it works better, so I'm going to use the 10-star rating system instead of the 5-star rating system I was originally going to use. So, with 10 stars, I would easily give the Fantastic Four uh, eight 8.5 stars. I'm gonna give them an 8.5 stars because you know what? I thought it was just just a smidgen better than Superman. Just a smidgen. I thought they all had very sound stories, very sound plots to them. Um, no real pizzazz at the end of the movie that made you say, "Well, wow, this is leading to the next stage." I didn't think neither movie did that. Um, but I think the Fantastic Four has a lot less extra elements that don't work. As you probably heard in my Superman review from last week, that I thought that Superman, some of the characters really didn't work in the movie. Um, you know, and you can go back into my review and look at it. But that's the difference between the two movies. That's why I think this is a slightly better movie than Superman, but they are both very good. You know, to me, any movie over a seven is probably worth seeing in the movie theaters. Um, so I would say that this being an 8.5, Superman being an 8 are movies you definitely should be and wanna see at the theaters. Um, so, uh, that's my thought on that matter. But I would like to know your thoughts. Please drop me a line, tell me what you think, and we can go from there. The Guru signing off.